Right, okay. So it's not like a big agenda.
All right.
It's just a case of, it's a chat.
Yeah,
I mean, you came round, so would you like to clean glasses?
certainly
Have
would.
you anything left in there?
Yeah, I've got some very cold coffee in here, but it's still nice.
Yeah, well, if you made it, I'm sure it's lovely.
Thank you. I don't mind cold coffee.
Well, I'm really looking forward to this, because I mean, we've known each other for quite some time,
A
but
long time.
yeah, but we've got to know each other like much more because we see each other on a weekly basis at the toddler group. I suppose, really, Carol, it's like writer, actor, singer, producer, broadcaster. You've got your finger in many different pies. Is there any particular one of those that brings you the most pleasure?
I think when I think about what I do, I think the top's the writer, and it does bring pleasure, and it is lovely when things get published, and I'm always interested in things getting published. I'm not particularly interested in writing for myself.
Yes.
But when things get published, it's lovely. But writing's an agony as well. You have to make yourself do it, and you have to, sometimes when we used to have when we lived in another house, we had a room which was a study, and sometimes I used to like walk past and fling myself in it and not come out until I'd written something that I knew I wanted to write, and I loved to do it, but it's getting started is a nightmare.
Right. It's interesting when you wind up saying you're not writing for yourself. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, any kind of performance or something that you do for other people, it's more like it's sharing a good meal.
Yeah.
And it's in the preparation.
Yeah.
And the other thing that springs to mind is, if it was easy and you did it almost by rote, then it wouldn't feel as if it was worth doing.
Probably not, no, probably not. And I always keep, people go, I haven't got time. I go, well, before you watch Coronation Street, do 10 minutes. Then you've got 10 minutes on the page that you can edit and change and throw away. But if you haven't done that 10 minutes, you've got nothing. And so I always think there's a lot of value in just flinging down some odd thoughts.
Yes.
And then you can always refine them later, or think, oh, this is terrible. It's something that I always think it's worth putting it down.
Well, that's it. And it's I'm terrible for making analogies to food. You've got to practice a recipe before you make something that other people are going to accept.
Yeah, definitely.
And you don't always have to think that there's going to be an end product, that this 10 minutes of writing is going to turn into a book. It could just be working out a good way of putting down dialogue or a description or something like that.
Well, the other thing is, I quite like walking, and I reckon if I walk for about a mile, I can probably solve 2 problems. So, I mean,
don't do a marathon.
No.
that'd be 46 points.
I run out of problems. No, I won't. I don't mean personal problems, but I mean, so if you're writing something and you think, well, not that I write plays anymore. My husband David writes plays. I don't write them anymore because they're too long for me to do. But if you're trying to work out what should happen next, then I think having a walk is a jolly, and having a problem to focus on is a jolly good thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. This is the thing about conductive and inductive thought, where your mind wanders and then you're solving the problem without you actually sitting there forcing yourself to come to it.
Yeah. It's not like when you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you try to solve a problem and you know for a fact you never will. You just make it worse.
Okay, so waking up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, do you also come up with what's called word salad, where you think this is the most brilliant idea in the world and you scribble it down or you speak it into your phone and then you hear it the next day?
Maybe if I'm writing a poem, or maybe if I'm, for example, while I was thinking about you coming, and at the end of this I'm going to ask you some questions for something I'm doing, a project I'm doing on the beach. I'm going to ask you what's your most vivid memory, and I thought, well, what's my most vivid memory? And I remembered something I haven't thought about for about 50 years, about being on the beach and cutting my foot because somebody was throwing stones at me, my friend, and I had to go to the hospital and get my foot stitched. And I still got the scar. And my mother was furious because it meant I couldn't march with the People's Mission Band. And
All right.
and she was because I was holding the banner.
Uh-huh.
So I wasn't even thinking about that. And that case. So I suppose sometimes the best things creep up on you, don't you find?
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's like if I'm writing a song, this isn't about me, by the way. If I'm writing a song, I'll get the initial idea and then leave it for 3 weeks.
Uh-huh.
And then the idea will come.
Yeah.
But it's almost, I mean, as someone who's dabbled with writing as well, the whole scenario, that's like a small vignette.
Yeah.
You know, of not my child has cut a foot, but it's like I'm furious because you can't march with the mission band. So, a mother's love.
It was like when we were kids. I don't think mothers do it anymore, thank goodness. But I can remember seeing mothers in shops belting their kids because they'd run away.
Yeah.
And then when they found them again, what a thing!
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why we say that because it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
But it's still like sort of like I want you to come back so much that I'm going to belt you. I'm really thinking, should I I think I'd rather run away. There's one thing missing: a good belting.
Yeah, so.
I mean, recently, just as you mentioned the People's Mission, I mean, so you've been associated with the People's Mission for quite some time?
Oh, forever, yes, forever. So my granny went, and my mum and dad, and my aunties, all my aunties, and I think I'm the sole survivor now, although David and Joe are both playing in the band now, which is lovely, and they're so much enjoying it. But yes.
And who's Joe?
That's my grandson.
All right, yeah.
So he's his stage name's Joe Cook. He's called Joseph Cook, but he appears on stage, so his stage name is Joe Cook.
All right.
And they're in the band and they love it. And so my father was a principal cornet, and my son was Tom, principal cornet. But I've never really wanted to join. I've played the guitar really badly. You can't imagine how badly. And I've played.
Well, it just so happens with it.
No, it's just it would be much worse than you could even imagine.
I can imagine.
And I've played it for about 50 years, and I'm no better at all.
Right.
But I play the uke as well, and because I go to a couple.
It just so happens.
No, I've got a couple of uke groups, and so I do it every week. I don't practice very much, but I do it every week, and
it's so overrated.
The more harder you practice, the talented you get. Isn't that what they say?
No, not necessarily. So, I mean, just as a point, do you come from a musical family? I mean,
yeah.
But theatrical, I mean, what I really meant to say was like the music's there, but sometimes you can be a shy performer on a loud instrument, as most brass instruments are.
Yes.
But was there like a theatricality within your family?
Well, my granddad used to play the piano, and he had a tiny little house on the an estate on the way to Marsden, but he had a piano in the house, and he used to, now and then he would play the piano, or his brother would come over from Cumbria and play the piano, and my mum and dad would waltz around the room. And so he was musical, and my dad could play anything, just piano, accordion, cornet, guitar, piano. He could just play lots of things, and my son can do the same. And my aunties sang, all my aunties sang, and some sang alto and had really good voices. And my mother was sort of in plays and things when she was young. So I think there's always and me and my sisters at church, at Sunday school, we always did, we were always in the plays, and we were always had the big recitations and things. So we always do perform. Yeah. We've always performed, and it just is. I think it's so relaxing. When you're on stage, or maybe when you're playing, you can't think about anything else.
Yes, yeah. Like a lot of people staring at you, sharpens your resolve.
Yeah.
Let's say.
And all the worries and concerns you have, if you're performing and if you're getting paid, well, even if you're not getting paid, if you're performing, you've got a duty to do the best you can.
Absolutely.
And so you have to forget about those things and concentrate on the task in hand, which can be very relaxing, I think.
Oh yes, yeah, it is. I mean, it's it's quite interesting that you say that. It almost feels like it was by osmosis that you become, like, you know, the writer, producer, broadcaster, and things like that.
Yeah.
So what is it that you're doing now? I mean, I know that you've been doing quite a lot of writing.
Yeah.
And you did something during lockdown?
Yes, during lockdown. Cultural Spring wanted some projects that involved people that weren't necessarily very IT savvy. And so I had this idea of talking to people. It was remotely, talking to people and asking for their favourite picture, their favourite sound, their treat food. I think there was 4 things. I can't remember what 4 things. And I contacted people, either phoned them or emailed them, or I used sort of church bulletins, and got lots of images. Just heartbreaking. The best one, which I topped and tailed the video with, was 2 swings that were empty, and it was sent by a grandmother to me, and I thought that was so moving. And there were some lovely pictures, and you know, some sad ones. And somebody sent a picture of the seals up in Northumbria on the coast, and they'd had tremendous solace from the sound of the seals.
Right. Oh yes.
And people sent, you know, like what their treat was. It was largely chocolate or alcohol, to be honest. No surprises there.
yeah.
Chocolate and alcohol.
At the same time. Oh, that's crazy talk.
That's way. And so I made a little video, and well, actually, I produced it, but my husband became a videographer, and he did it, and then my son did the music.
Yeah.
And that was really good fun to do, and I really enjoyed it. And then latterly, I do talks based on 6 old wives' tales books I've written, and obviously people haven't met, so they haven't wanted anybody to give talks. And I didn't realise how much I enjoyed doing it, but I really do. And I had lots of bookings with a garden centre in Northumberland. I think they booked me for 4 talks. And I did the first one, which was a Christmas talk. I didn't do any more. And so I was thinking I would like to revive that, and also sell the books, because otherwise our loft's going to collapse. You know, I've got about 1,000 books of them. And the publisher...
Tell me about it, yes.
Yeah, you've got a few. Yeah. The publisher isn't publishing books anymore. It was a Sunderland publisher, not publishing books anymore. Yeah. So they said, you can have them. So obviously I've got them, but I'm just selling them really cheaply. And so I'm doing a new talk about the beach, which I think is going to be called Sun, Sand and Deep Blue Sea. But it might be Sun, Sea and Sandy Sandwiches. I think that's kind of more fun.
Yeah.
And then when I've done that, so that's what I'm going to ask you about. When I've done that, I'm going to send emails to all the people who booked me and say, would you like me to come do my new talk? So that's what I'm busy doing at the moment.
You could always put down the sun, sand and ... And then you would go,
oh, what can that be?
But the thing is that if you're tapping into people's likes and dislikes and like memories, people will be more voluble about sort of saying what it was that came about.
Yes.
So I mean, it's a great way of channeling something that people are going to want to sort of like look at. And are these the books here?
Yes, they are. So there's what cookery, sheep's head broth, sausages and sago. There's remedies, pills and potions. There's bringing up baby. There's lipstick, powder and paint. Penca's parties and pirate radio, which I did with Julia Hankin when she worked at the BBC. And spit polish and elbow grease, which is all about housework.
All right.
But then I also, Sheila Graeber had an exhibition on
did,
Shields. And I said I would do a writing workshop based on the beach. Because everybody in Shields has got, loves the beach.
Well, I'll just interject here.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a teacher, I took children to the beach
Yeah.
at Marsden, and the one boy just said, like, there's snow, and I'm saying it's not snow, it's sand, because he'd never been. So we think that everybody does have like contact with the beach. I think of our generation,
Yeah.
They
But
do.
He didn't.
you know.
He
So
hadn't.
you know.
Did you like it?
Oh yeah, he thought it was fantastic. Yeah, but I was just quite shocked.
Yeah.
You know. So sorry.
It's all right. And our beach is so lovely
Mm.
and so clean. I
Mhm.
mean, I think the council put a lot of effort into keeping it
Oh,
clean,
yeah.
and it is beautiful.
Mhm.
It's astonishing that people haven't been.
Well, I always say, everybody talks about how wonderful our beaches are, and they say, well, how do you make beaches? And they go, it's rocks, yeah. It's rocks clashing together, what in bad weather.
That's probably right.
Yeah, we've got fantastic beaches because we don't get much sun.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sheila, so I couldn't do a workshop because of COVID. But so Sheila said the Arts Council had given us some money, and she wanted, you know, she wanted us to do the workshop. So she asked if we would do a couple of videos. So I did one video, and I wrote a poem about the beach.
Mm.
And like you were saying, you know, I wrote it, then I left it, then I edited it, then I left it and edited it again, and then I talked through the edits on this video.
Mm.
So just saying, well, I like this bit, but I didn't like this, so I cut this and I cut this word. And so that was a video which Sheila, and then I did another one. That was it. I did.
So you were basically showing the process of your writing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's quite interesting.
And then the other one was I was talking about how I use people's memories and people's ideas in my writing, and so I did a little, I think about a 5-minute video about that as well, and that was nice. That was nice to do.
Do you think that when you're writing almost to order or to a deadline, does that harden your resolve to sort of make sure you have a product, and you put as much effort in as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't do it unless I've got a deadline.
Right.
So I've already written to somebody and told them I've got a new talk. Would
Yes.
they be interested? And it's not finished yet.
Yeah.
So, but if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have even started it.
Yeah. That's always the way of the world. That's that Douglas Adams thing, isn't it?
What's that?
When something so what was that now? That's the sound of the deadline passing. So, you know, if push comes to shove, like throughout our lives, there have been so many times where we wound up saying, like, you know, can you? And you go, oh yeah.
Yes.
And you
But it
go,
was right,
I've
yes.
never, yeah. Oh yeah, well, there was a funny thing on the television the other day. I think it was an actress who said, like, she had horse riding on her CV and she had to be led around by a man with a string. Do you know that would be a good name for my biography, led round by a man on a string. Yeah.
Well, yes, absolutely. Well, I used to write for the Gazette, and I used to write for a free paper. So the free paper paid much more than the Gazette. I used to do a column every week, and you had to have it on time. And then I used to do it. This is years ago, but I used to write a TV crit for the Chronicle and the Journal. And so you'd watch the programme, and then you'd have to phone in your crit. So it must have been before emails, or it must have been before they were au fait with email. I don't know. You used to have to phone it in.
Yeah. I'm not saying much, but was it written on slate?
Yes, it was. I chipped it out before.
like the Flintstones.
Yes. It sounds like, what? I'm sure I was using emails then. So why I didn't email the stuff to them, I've got no idea. But you had to phone. It had to be before 10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Otherwise, it didn't get in the paper the following day. So you had to watch it, write it, and then phone it in the same.
Right. So presumably it had to be on at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So if it was on at 9 o'clock, you'd have to be writing it as you went.
Or maybe they would send you like a video of something they wanted you to review.
All right.
But often it would be on TV and you'd have to review it.
All right. How did you feel about reviewing other creatives' works?
No bother at all.
Hang on, I'll just get a knife.
No bother at all.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think we all do that bit of shouting at the television, but it's like putting it into words. It's quite quite a skill.
Yeah, it was fun. It was
Yeah.
fun to do because you had a specific number of words, and you just had to get them in, get it all in there.
Yeah.
You couldn't say, "Can I have an extra 20?" And I said, "No."
Yeah.
And it was the
Or
same.
write it in smaller fonts,
Yes, can you? Yes.
which we've all had. Yeah.
No, couldn't do that. And it was the same with the Gazette and the Free Paper as well. You had to have that exactly that number of words.
Yeah.
Maybe one over, one less, but it had to
Right.
be right.
It is a discipline.
Yeah,
It is.
it's
Yeah.
good though.
I mean, I used to write reviews of records.
Yeah,
I mean, like proper records,
Yeah.
not CDs. And I got to the point where if I didn't like it, I couldn't write something to say. You know, like I think the one I put on sort of like, why use one synthesizer when 15 would do? You know, and I sort of thought, that's pretty mean. It's true, but it's pretty mean.
do you think it was slightly overdone? Do you think the record was slightly overdone?
Defined slightly. You know, it was just a kitchen sink. You know, so
Horrid.
okay, it was horrid.
Well, some stuff is though, isn't it? You know, I mean, I got to see some, well, not particularly recently, drama. You know, go and see drama at the plays. I mean, I just think, oh, it's just such a waste of time. You know, just a waste of my time.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of I was really brought up to finish a book or see the play out.
And finish your dinner?
And probably finish the dinner as well, yeah. And so I do have a discipline to do that, but it's such a relief if at half time you can go.
Right. You'll have to go to the theatre with Anne.
What?
Because she always leaves at half time.
Does she? Oh, what a refreshing thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. If she's had enough, does she?
Yeah, if it's not going anywhere. I always feel that I'm hoping for redemption, you know,
Yeah.
for the play to
Yeah.
sort of like kind of kick in.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all watched movies and thought, this is awful, and then you watch it the second time and go, that's fantastic. You know, when you get it, or you're sitting there and you're on a plane and going, please don't do that, and that comes up.
Yeah.
You know, you want that kind of surprise.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you go watch somebody else singing and playing, do you ever think, oh, no? Or do you tend to wait?
I tend to think, I remember when I would have played like that.
Yeah.
And they need encouragement.
Yeah.
There was somebody I was watching last night, and obviously very nervous, but it was just something simple, that the guitar strap was too slack. So as soon as he finished, I went over and said, you need to tighten it up, so you know that when you're standing, it's in one position. When you sit down, it's in exactly the same position.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. It's just
Yeah.
like you can pass something on rather than go, sorry mate, you know,
Yeah.
you failed the audition.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, I'm not a nice person, but it's just that you if there's some way you can help,
Yeah.
then that's a way you can help.
Yeah,
You know, so you can
definitely.
pass some knowledge on. And even if they wind up going, you know, who was that old git
Yeah.
telling me
Yeah.
what to do?
Maybe we'll give it a try with this guitar strap.
Yeah,
Perhaps
yeah.
we'll give it a try.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
And talking about like drama, I mean, we met again after quite a while. We were in the Westovians
Yes, we were.
for the Good Companions.
Yes.
That's right. And what a laugh we had.
I know. It was fun. I think it was my first Westovian show.
Oh, was it really?
I think
Yeah.
so. No, it wasn't. Because I did a John Godber play first. That was the first show I was in, and then Good Companions. But it was good, and I think the director was good. Michael Gallagher was good.
Oh yes,
He was
very
clever.
exacting.
Yeah, a bit of a pain, but good. Very.
But that's what you want.
Yeah.
You know, we need to be led by the nose, and you can't get somebody saying, "Well, do it the way you feel."
No, definitely not.
You know, that's
No.
just not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm dead keen on directors directing. And, I used to, when I worked at South Tyneside College, I used to direct a lot because it was your job really. And then, so in my leisure time, I didn't want to direct. So David has always written and acted and directed, but I've done very little directing. Odd times when he's had to go to see our son in America, he said, "Can you do a week of rehearsals?" And I've done that, but I've pretty much done what he's. Well, I have done what he's.
You've been
set
directed
out.
to direct. Yeah.
So it's essentially me sitting there letting people go through their moves and just saying the odd thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have done a bit, but not. And I did lots at work, but not masses out of work.
Well, what was your job at South Tyneside?
Well, I was in charge of performing arts.
Oh wow.
So we had fantastic people work. So Ray Spencer worked there, Tom Kelly worked there, a number of really good musicians worked there part time, and it was good fun. A lot of it was very good fun, and you had to do evenings, and you knew you had to do evenings, but it was fairly flexible, but then after I done it for about 8 years, I think, and I thought I just can't tell another student how to do a pratfall. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And so I got a different job, and I went to work by the BBC, and that was fun as well.
Oh, that's right. Yes, because I wanted to go and do an interview, and there you were, and it was like, well, hello, Carol.
Were you being interviewed on it?
I was,
on a show?
yeah.
Do you remember whose show it was?
It was a lady, Liz, I think it was.
No, might have been Julia Hankin. Was it?
Oh yes, Julia Hankin.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yes.
She was very good.
Oh, everybody else knows her as Liz. But, she was very nice. Yes.
Very nice. So yes, that was a nice job. It was a national job, and it was in learning and participation or something like that. And it was to encourage people to. I mean, they don't do it anymore, but there was lots of sort of education programs. And it was to encourage people to tune in and do stuff and take it to the next level. So it was quite nice, and it was a national. I mean, I'm still in touch with some of the people who I worked with. So yeah, good.
Wow. And then I suppose we kind of bumped into each other. I think it was at a Cookson parade.
Oh yes.
I don't know how long.
When you were doing the makeup.
Yes, that's right. We're doing face painting. That's kind of definitely street art.
Yes, definitely.
It's like everybody, 15 at once, all descend on you, all wanting to do face painting.
Well, I think Anne was busy, so you did mine.
Yes.
And it was quite vivid, quite dramatic.
Yeah.
And at the end of the parade, I sort of got the tissues, thought I'd taken it all off, and then I went shopping to Debenhams. And I wanted to try some stuff, so they went, "You've got quite a lot of. Do you want to taste some of that stuff?" And I looked at them and I couldn't believe it. I've been walking about the street. Yeah. I don't know if it was supposed to be cats or tigers or I think it might have been tigers.
It was tigers, yeah.
Yeah.
So quite a lot of orange was involved. Yes.
So I've been walking around from the Ben's Park to Debenhams, still looking like a tiger.
Well, I think
that's all right, really.
Do you know what? As if it's never happened before. I mean, I remember I was in the pantomime, and I mean that really was pancake. That
yes.
That was put on with a trowel.
Yes.
And I could never get it out of my eye sockets. So I was like teaching. So the next day everybody would be looking, kind of going,
"What's the matter with
you? What's the matter with you? I've heard of bags under your eyes, but not like kind of pancake in your eyes." As well as this kind of writing, where it's more like prose. You've also been doing some poetry.
Yeah.
And again?
I think I like that best, actually. Well, that was something I did quite a while ago with my sister. It's called More Than a Body's Work. It was about body image.
All right.
And we did it in Bristol. We worked with some people and did workshops in Bristol, and and then I was working with Teesside University then, and we did some workshops at Teesside University. But then we got some money to get these printed, and Mudfog in Teesside printed them. But then we went to New York.
Wow.
And we went to a school in New York it was called the Harvey Milk School, and it was...
All right, yes, like in the movie.
Yes, and it was for children who were confused. I can't remember what the words were, because it's got to be about 12 years ago, but it was... And we went to, because obviously body image was very important to those children, because that was how they demonstrated their identity. And we went and we did workshops there as well. and one boy had a barcode on tattooed on his back of his neck, and I wrote a poem about that. And somebody else had.
That's almost like dehumanising.
Yeah, it is. Somebody else had sort of like horns coming out of their forehead.
All right.
But there was great rules, you know. So one was whatever gender you come in that morning, you stay that gender all day.
All right.
So you can't. It was essentially to do with bathrooms and toilets. So essentially, you can't decide at lunchtime if you've come and your image is as a boy. You can't decide at lunchtime you're going to be a girl and go to the girls' bath. I mean, now we have unisex, but I don't think they did at that time.
No.
And it was really, really interesting. It was really good. And we had an exhibition at the Tyneside Cinema, and we had an exhibition at the Ark in Stockton, and we had one down in Bristol as well.
Excellent.
So that was fun. And it was nice to do poetry and images together. So sometimes I did the poem first, and June did the image, or sometimes she was working on an image and I thought. There was one about braids. She did an image about braids, and so I did an acrostic. I think that's what you call them, you know, BRAIDs. Yeah. I did that, and that was an image of one of the girls at the school, and that was another one. And I'm just seeing if I can see the barcode tattoo one, but I can't at the moment. But it's there somewhere. So yes, and during lockdown, the church was doing little videos and things, so they asked me to do something for Christmas. So I wrote a Christmas poem, and then they asked me to do one for Easter, and I wrote an Easter poem, which I like both of them actually. And I try to, you know, avoid cliches, try to be honest, and try to be clear, and try not to just parrot things that have been said before, because it, you know, special times it's easy to do that.
Yes, it is easy to go down the same road as other people. But well, I think I've got like one final question, which is, did you ever find having a proper job got in the way?
No. No, honestly, I didn't. I liked all the jobs. I mean, some people are not so fortunate, but I've liked or even loved all the jobs I've done. So that's been great. And I think people have to work much longer hours now, but you know, my work was constrained within time. I mean, sometimes when I was working at the BBC, I had to go down to London or Birmingham or Leeds or Leicester. But that did mean if you took your laptop, you could, if you were inclined to, you could do stuff on the train. So no, and anyway, I'm not a person for big long stretches of doing things. I'm more a half an hour person.
All right.
And then, you know, in 2 days' time, do another half hour. I'm not really.
Right. When you're writing, do you ever find yourself in a situation where you just get carried away with it, and the next thing you look, you're like 3 hours later, and you've written masses?
No.
No. Oh. Just me then.
Do you?
Yeah.
What happens with you?
I just have an idea, and I just roll with it, and it just cascades onto the page. And it's like 3 hours later, I can't believe.
And then how much of it, I mean, would most of it be good, or would
most of it be usable?
Yeah.
I mean, grammar and punctuation and setting out. Yeah. But the thread of the ideas, and I find dialogue very easy to write. But that's anyway. This isn't about me.
Well, no, it's interesting. I mean, you asked that question because you thought that might be the case, but by and large, it isn't.
All right.
So maybe if I was writing something long, I would probably spend an hour. But I'm not great at spending great amounts of time. So I'm better at writing something and then going back to it and going, ooh, and then going back to it again and writing a bit more.
Right.
I'm much
Well, that's where like chipping up the stone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
and then you don't daunt yourself by saying, I need 3 hours.
I find myself that you do your best writing when you know you've only got an hour and you've got 10 other things to do.
Yeah.
You know, if nothing else, you can procrastinate by writing, or do something like
Yes.
that needs doing.
Yeah.
But this needs more.
Yes.
This needs it more.
Often when you're writing though, you get the shopping in, you get the washing done. If you're cleaning, you get the cleaning done. You make those difficult phone calls. Anything to put off the writing. That's me.
All right. Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
And then I really love it when I'm doing it. I love it when I'm doing it.
Well, of course you do. Of course you do.
But
I think people will be able to gather that.
Yeah.
Are these still available?
oh yes, they're all available. Probably all through me, really.
Right.
Well, definitely all through me. The Old Wives' Tales are, some of them are in the library. The Word, but you can just get them from me because they're cheaper from me.
I can just see you now. So, get your lucky boots here, all fresh and lovely. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
So,
Do you know what they wind up saying? Like when you're going to interview somebody, it usually it takes about 20 minutes before you start getting the really good stuff. I think we jumped off a moving train. That was absolutely fantastic.
thank you. I really enjoyed it.
I know.
It was really fun.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun.
Thank you.
And I know exactly why I was looking forward to this.
Thank you very
So,
much.
thank you very much.
Cheers.
That was great. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Right.
These are only the vaguest of notes because I just wanted it to go anywhere.
It was
anywhere.
great.
I mean, we didn't talk about the folk club and
No? Oh no, we didn't, did we?
and things like that.
Well, I'd have been tempted to sing the Needle of Death. I'd forgotten that. It was so funny, wasn't it? Because all these young, fresh-faced kids sing Needle of Death.
Yeah.
Why would you sing that? I'm just going to put the heating on because it's suddenly cold. Can I ask you a couple of questions and just jot the answer to that? Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, it's great. It was fun.